Hi guys, this is Reina Lee from Peer Tutoring Club. In this video, we're going to learn how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide integers. And we're going to be working with both positive and negative integers. We'll start with adding integers. When it comes to adding integers, there are a couple of different ways to think through these. So I'll show you two ways to go through each of our examples here. Let's jump into number 1, where we have 12 plus negative 7. We'll start this problem by taking a look at the sign. We have a positive 12 and a negative 7. So we have a different sign, a positive and a negative. Since we have a different sign, we are going to take the greater absolute value and subtract the lesser. Our answer will take the sign of the greater absolute value. Let's start writing the absolute value of both 12 and negative 7. And remember, the absolute value is the distance a number is from 0. The absolute value of 12 is 12. The absolute value of negative 7 is 7. Now we take the greater absolute value and subtract the lesser. These are already in order, so we can subtract. If the greater absolute value comes second, you can always switch the order to find the difference if need be. Let's subtract. So 12 minus 7 is 5. Now we need to determine if our answer is going to be negative or positive. So we need to take a look at the larger absolute value, which is this 12. So we take the sign of the larger absolute value from the original problem. So the larger absolute value is 12. Let's take a look at the 12 in the original problem. And that 12 is positive. That means our answer is going to be positive, so our final answer is a positive 5. So quick recap here. So we basically forgot about any negatives because we were working with absolute values. We then found the difference between the absolute values, and the answer take the sign of the greater absolute value from the original problem. And now let's think through this another way. And this way is going to be more of a mental math approach. So just thinking about what's going on in this problem. So our original problem, so we are starting at a positive 12 and we are adding a negative 7. By adding that negative 7, we are decreasing in value by 7 from that 12. So we can basically think of this as 12 minus 7. That gives us our answer of 5. 12 plus negative 7, we are decreasing that 12 by a value of 7. So we get a positive 5. So again, we started at a positive 12. Always think about where you are starting and where you are going from the starting point. So we are adding in negative 7, which is decreasing our 12 by 7. And we end up with 5. Now let's move on to number 2, which we have negative 8 plus negative 10. Here we have two negatives, so the same signs. So we're going to add the absolute values and use the same sign. Let's start by taking a look at the absolute value of negative 8 and negative 10. The absolute value of negative 8 is 8, plus the absolute value of negative 10, which is 10. Now we add those absolute values because again we have the same signs. 8 plus 10 is 18. We use the same sign from the original problem. So which those are negatives there, so our answer is negative. Final answer negative 18. So we can think that we are starting at a negative 8. So again starting at negative 8 and we are adding a negative 10. So that means we are decreasing in value by 10. That leaves us at negative 18. That's how we add integers. Let's move on to subtracting integers. So here are our examples for subtracting integers. Let's jump into number 1, where we have 5 minus negative 9. When we subtract integers, we're actually going to add the opposite. If you're able to add integers, you're going to be able to subtract integers. The opposite of subtraction is addition, and then we take the opposite of the number we are subtracting. So this gives us an equivalent problem, and we are able to use this strategy. So we have 5, and then let's add the opposite of negative 9. The opposite of negative 9 is positive 9. So 5 plus 9, that gives us 14. A positive 14, and that's our final answer. Now that answer may not make sense at first. Whenever we subtract a negative, we are actually increased in value. Let's move on to number 2, where we have negative 3 minus 20. So let's add the opposite. Negative 3 plus the opposite of positive 20, which is negative 20. So we have negative 3 plus negative 20. Now adding that negative 20, we are decreasing in value by 20. So we are starting at negative 3 and then decreasing in value by 20. That's going to give us negative 23. And negative 23 is our final answer. That's how we subtract integers. Let's move on to multiplication. Here are our examples for multiplying integers. Let's jump into number 1, where we have negative 7 times positive 4. We have a negative times a positive. When we're working with different signs, this tells us our product. This tells the answer to a multiplication problem will be negative. 7 times 4 is 28, and then we know this product is negative, because we are working with different signs. So this is negative 28. And that's our final answer. So we have a negative times a positive that will equal a negative product. Let's move on to number 2, where we have negative 10 times negative 6. So we have same signs there. We have 2 negatives. So our product will be positive. So let's think. 10 times 6 is 60. We have the same signs there, so it's going to be a positive 60. Our final answer 60. So to recap, same signs equals a positive product. Now let's move on to division. So here are our examples for dividing integers. The rules are the same for dividing integers as they were for multiplying integers. Let's jump into number 1, where we have negative 48 divided by negative 8. For now, let's just think of this as 48 divided by 8, and what that quotient will be. 48 divided by 8 is 6, and now we need to determine if our quotient is positive or negative. So anytime we have the same signs in our original problem, our quotient is positive. So negative 48 divided by negative 8 equals positive 6. So that's how you add, subtract, divide, and multiply integers. I hope that helped, and thank you for watching. Bye!